Hey everyone, it's Jessica with another layout for you for the Peartree Cutfiles design team, and today I'm using this doggone cute cut file to document a couple photos of my sister's new lab puppy, and she is literally so doggone cute. So this cut file was just perfect, and what I've done is I've already cut it out with my cutting machine in some textured black cardstock, and then I have pulled out some Bella Boulevard papers, and this orange one is from the Besties collection, and it just coordinates so well with the Cooper collection, which is their pet one. So I love Bella Boulevard's collections because you can just mix and match them and they all go together very, very well. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm showing you two different ways to back a cut file. So what I've done here with this little paw print piece is I have actually put the adhesive glue on the back of my little paw print and then placed it directly onto the pattern paper, and then I'm just cutting around the edges of the black outline. So as you can see here, I'm just trimming the excess off. It's already glued down, but since it's fresh, it's not completely dry and adhered, so I can kind of move this around and get underneath that black strip for the outline of the cut file, so I can trim that out really super close and even go kind of underneath it a little bit, if that makes sense. And then the second way that I like to back my cut files is by pulling off the negative piece from my cutting mat, which I'm going to pull off that D, and I like to place that right on top of my pattern paper, which here you can see I've pulled out just a bunch of scraps that I have left over from this collection. I'm not cutting into anything new that I have because I don't want to burn any of my nice full sheets of 12 by 12. So I am just a little distracted here because I found this little cute little doodad here on one of the cut apart pieces there. And I had to cut that out. I was going to use it on the layout, but I ended up actually not using it, so I save it for later. So here is where I show you the second part of backing a cut file, which I just used my negative and cut around that letter, leaving a little bit for the outline, and then I go in from the back and put my adhesive on and put it on from the back. So that's the second way. And then for this particular one, since it has a middle in it, I lay that negative right directly on it again. I put the middle on, glue the middle down so it's perfect where it should be, and then I use my cutting mat and X-Acto knife to cut around the edge and cut that middle out completely. So super easy ways to back a cut file. I'm going to go ahead and back the rest of the cut file here, and I'm going to speed this up. So here you can see I have the entire cut file backed with the different pattern papers from the Cooper collection by Bella Boulevard, and that's pretty much all that I'm going to do to that cut file today. I did think about going in with some white pen, doing some outlines on my letters for the black letters in the middle, but I ended up not doing that because I just liked it how it was very bold. And I wanted to move on to my stenciling here, which I'm going to do some heat embossing. So I've pulled out my embossing dauber. It's by Ranger ink, and all you do is take it out and dab it on your stencil, over top your stencil, and as you can see, I'm just cleaning up the edges where I got extra embossing powder and where it stuck to my paper a little bit. So I'm going to just clean that up before I use my heat gun here on it. Tried to go in from underneath, but that wasn't working out so well because of the two pieces of the paper already adhered together. I used a sheet of smooth black cardstock to outline the orange pattern paper just to give it some dimension because I want it to look like a Polaroid picture when I'm done. So I wanted to have a little bit of definition in there. So it wasn't working very well to use my heat tool from behind since it had two pieces of paper. So I did end up going in from the front, but I don't like to do that because sometimes it blows off some of your embossing powder. So I had a couple there that I had to fix, so I just went in again and did those couple over again by just laying my stencil back on there. Some of them are messed up because I must have had some extra on the back of my stencil when I moved it down to the bottom portion, but I'm okay with that because my layouts, as you all know, have grunge to them all the time. So this one will not disappoint in that area, and I'm probably going to cover that up in the middle anyways by the cut file. So it's really not a big deal. I'm going to take a couple of these pattern pieces that I had left over and back my cut file and distress the edges. I'm going to do this one with the cute little bone paper. I'm going to distress these edges as well. And then I'm basically just going to embellish the rest of it. I'm going to add little bits and pieces from the collection. I was going to use that, but I opted out. And I pulled out some of the little die cut pieces from this pack that match the collection. And there's lots of little bits that would have worked on this, but I did settle on the yellow one for right there. And then I'm just going to add a couple little wordy bits here. Just a few things. I'm not going to go too crazy with this one. Usually I'm kind of a heavy embellisher, but this one's for my sister's book, and they, it doesn't need to be as extravagant and crazy like my layouts are, because I think they enjoy a simpler style for their books anyways. So that's what I'm going to try to stick with, but still throw in my creative flair to it, of course. So I've just pulled out a few little bits that I think I might use. I'm going to set those aside for now, and I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. So I pulled out a Vicki Boutin stamp set. I'm just going to use this arrow here, and then some Distress Oxide in black soot. And I'm going to pull out this one by Heidi Swap. It's a fireworks stamp, but I really like using fireworks stamps on my layouts. I think they just add some little interest pieces to the layout and just pops of color if I'm using colored ink. So I really love to add them to my layouts, regardless if it's for a 4th of July layout or not. And then I'm going to pull out this doggy stamp that I have by Recollections, and I'm going to stamp woof and bark on this in a couple places. And I do pull out my Archival ink because I do like when I stamp letters for them to be a little bit more crisp. So with the Distress Oxides, they are going to be a distress look. No matter what you do to them, they are still going to look distressed. They're never going to be a really super crisp, clean stamp. So that's when I like to pull out my other inks if I want to have a super clean stamp. So I'm using the Archival for that, and then pretty much the Distress for everything else. So I've pulled out a Close to My Heart stamp set you saw with the little stitch X's at the bottom, and then these little kind of paint drippers. Usually I add those by my distress sprays or some kind of sprays that I have, but I decided since I had the stamp set out, I was just going to pop those on there. Just adhering down my cut file, I did run out of ATG gun tape runner at some point during this video, so I had to replace that. And I think it's already done at this point, so I should be good to go from here on out. And then I'm just going to pop on a couple little canvas flare pieces from Scrap and Happy Studio, and I'm going to back them with some glue dots from Thermoweb and some little thread twiddles behind them. I just take and balled up the thread. It just adds a little pop of interest there behind the flare, which I just love. I love the way that that looks behind there. It's just kind of a messy little doodad, and I just love it. So here I'm just pulling out some of the bits from, I think this release was quite a while ago actually. I think it was from the Adventure Pack. So they were all kind of this greenish and blues kind of hues, and had a lot of adventure-y type theme to it. But I loved these paw prints, and I thought they would just be perfect on this layout. So I'm just scattering about the page a bunch of these little acrylic bits. So I'm going to use some of the smaller ones. I'm going to throw in some of the bigger ones here and there. And I just think they're so cute. They're frosted in the middle to make the little paw print design. So they are just adorable, and I love them so much. So I'm just going to pop in a couple more, and I'm just going to adhere them all down with some more of the glue dots. So for the small ones, I'm going to use the bling size dots from Thermoweb, and then the bigger ones, I use the medium size. And I'm an affiliate for them, so I can link those products below if you want to purchase any of those. It'll be there for you in the description. So here I am just finishing up adhering everything. And then I'm going to grab my date stamp as well. My date stamp's by Paige Evans, but I'm going to stamp my date at the bottom, I think, right next to that one paw print. I probably should have bumped it over a little bit just to kind of keep with the flow of the layout, but it's going to work out and it'll be just fine. But whenever I go to stamp it, I do mess it up. So that one little paw print was in my way, and I couldn't get a clear impression of it. So what I did was I just stamped it again, but I covered up the one that was already stamped, and I just made it work. So it is a little misaligned, but you know, honestly, with these roller stamps, I misalign them all the time to begin with, so it's perfect the way it is because that's usually how it is with my layouts. So I'm just adding this last little sticker, and here's the finished product. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Feel free to grab the cut file from the shop and I'll link it below for you. And let me know if you have any questions, and feel free to hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.